Alright, this is Applewood candle holder take two. Um, First one I made a few mistakes on. Still may use it, but we'll see. It's still fun doing this. I have my piece of wood mounted in the chuck very tightly, and the tailstock holds this side in place so it doesn't go flying off. I've had that happen before. Um, so it will spin. This is my tool rest. That takes the pressure of the cut, and we want to have that as close to the wood as possible. Now this is unbalanced, so I don't want it too close. I need to have it close, but I also need to not have it catch. Um, and I have to make sure it's all in there tight. I've had that where I forgot to tighten something down and all pandemonium. So we will get started. I'm going to use a roughing gouge, which is this. It should be pretty sharp. I just sharpened it. So let's get started. Usually don't, when it's unbalanced, don't turn it at a high speed. Only do that once it gets balanced. And you do that by making it round. I wear gloves when I do this, mostly to protect my hands. Some people will say it's dangerous to do that. I don't know. Probably is. I should probably have tighter fitting gloves. I'm also allergic to wood, so that's part of my issue there. I'm going to crank this up a little bit once I get to the end. You see how it's cutting off pieces. Shavings like that. And I will, once I'm done recording, I'll try to fast forward this or put it in a higher speed, so you're not spending an hour watching me do this. By doing this way, when we pull almost perpendicular, it is actually slicing the fibers and cutting through them. Kind of like a Ferris wheel distance here. If I hold it this way, it's almost like a planer, feeling a little way. Doing rough cuts, but from here you want to good to do it this way. It's less likely chance of the tool catching the wood. And it's all about getting the right angle to the wood. Do one more pass and then we have to adjust my tool rest. And some ice cream at work. Perfect. That was nothing urgent, so I can resume. Oops. I did want to adjust the tool rest. You'll take notice I'm not doing it while it's spinning. That can be dangerous. I'm just going to check, make sure I'm not hitting the tool rest anywhere. Now with this being very green, very wet wood, water flies off. The tools, when I'm spinning at a high speed, get hot, and the water in this heats up. By the way, I'll have to show you my vacuum cleaner. I supersized that. Because you do make a lot of stuff. Let me check one more thing. Alright. Start her up again. I do have safety glasses on. I should have a face shield. I have to get one. Turn up a little bit more. You don't want to put too much pressure going into the wood. You just kind of rest it against and let the cutting edge do its work. See, it goes pretty quick. And you get covered in man glitter. The stuff that flies off all over the place. I'm not wearing a dust mask or respirator because this stuff being so wet. I probably still could, but I don't have a top end. I don't want to get too narrow. I still want it pretty wide, but I do want to make it as round as possible. And especially the outside layer off, so it's really pretty thin. Try to smooth it out some with a rounded bevel. Makes my cut a lot smoother. Once I get the shape I have, then I will do some sanding before I work on the inside just to get it. Actually, I need to dry it out first. I'm going to do one more thing. That was the part that's in the jaws of the stock is called a penny. I'm going to make one on this side too. I probably won't use this whole piece. If I make it thin on this now, I can use that piece later. I won't have to mix them. Easier to do it now. little bit at a time. Back to almost to the setting like that. That's the point where I can't see what I'm doing. I'm just a little plus in the line. Yep, you're there. I'm going to pause this. So I will probably, my pencil is somewhere. I should own stock in pencils. So it has a groove in there. I probably want to remove that. So before I do anything else, get to my bolt down there. I'm going to have to remove that, otherwise I'll have a hole in the wood. And it'll be really hard to make that thin with a hole in it. So we'll crank her up again. This one with it. I feel like I'm in control when I go towards me. I get wood flakes down my shirt, on my socks. Almost, just another pass, and we should be good. Turn it back on, do another pass or two, and clean it up. I also typically don't stand the right on the piece of wood. I would pay off of it passage quite naturally and slow through. That was the lead. piling this stuff down. I could bring my vacuum over and just suck this stuff as I make it, but it makes a lot of noise. Not too bad. Pretty wood. Smells like apples. Alright, so I'm going to find a pencil. Alright, so with the tools I have, I can do probably about 4 inches of hollowing out, and then I have to make a base. So I'm going to draw a line here and turn it on to basically I'm going to cut it in half. And I'll show you how I do that. I cheat. It's actually easier. I use my saw. Just saw I picked up at the hardware store. It's got a nice, flexible but still stiff, and low number of teeth, so it cuts well. It's a pull knife. I'm going to put it in reverse, and I will just rest my saw in there and let it cut through. I may go back and forth sometimes to help it. Getting it started is the hard part. Put a little bit of pressure on it and slowly draw it back and forth. Skip out. This is easier than trying to use a cut it through with a tool. Could take it off and from my bandsaw, but this is so easier. Doesn't take long, it'll take a lot of effort. All the stuff that you see coming off the back of it is juice, water. That's how wet this wood is. And it smells awesome. It smells like apples. Took the tool rest off because I don't want to get the saw caught on it. I do every once in a while rub some beeswax on the side of the saw that helps it from sticking. And you gotta keep this straight while you cut, because if you bend it, you get caught in it, it's gonna tear the saw out of your hands. Doing this does attract a lot of insects, so I do try to vacuum it up right away. At least once a day I try to vacuum everything up so I don't have bugs in here, enough of them. The problem with wolf spiders, so if you hear me scream like a girl, I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything about that, but if I scream, it's because it's all wolf spiders. I've seen some pretty big ones in here. Do not like spiders. Oops. I'm not worried about the scratches that put in the wood. They're getting it turned out, sanded out. Now with wood like this, it's very wet. It will tend to warp or crack as it dries. One way to solve that is to boil it in water or salt water. Actually, salt water works better. Or you can boil it in linseed oil or something like that. That'll drive the moisture out of it. Or you can air dry it. I've had a lot of luck with boiling it. I used to boil it in a mixture of linseed oil and beeswax. It gets really dirty when you boil wood, and it's hard to clean that stuff out. So salt water is a little bit easier. You can just toss it when you're done. And when it gets dirty. And it's not super salty, just enough salt. There's not much to it all the way through. It's enough to draw the water out of the wood. Still have to let it dry once you're done, but it's the salt water that is drying and not regularly hot. So tends to crack less with that. Almost through. This is where I need to be careful. Now I can, since I'm almost through, pull my tailstock back so I can catch it when it comes off. Or try to. But you gotta hold on to your saw tight. Because it wants to take it. Yeah, do this with this here. When you get to the center, it just wants to go all over the place. It's hard to control it. I'll just turn it off until it stops spinning and finish the cut. There we go. It's about 2 pounds of wet wood. Now I can finish this. So, I'll just saw away and start a new video.